Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. We're glad to have you as part of this conference. This is College Prep USA and is intended for global students, as students who are in one country and planning to study in another. And we will get right into our event. We are hoping to share with you about finding, applying to, and getting into your university. We do believe there's one school that is really going to be a perfect fit for you, and we'd love to help you find that. We've asked one of our students to welcome you, so here she is.
I'm Sarah, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this event. I think you guys are in for a real treat. The guys at Global Student Solutions really helped me out when I was applying for college. And now I'm a junior, and I'm really happy with my campus experience and my major here in the U.S. I am from Brazil, but I attended an American school in Indonesia for my secondary education. So you know my situation was really confusing and really scary. Coach Martin really understands global students, and he loves helping us out. We all want and need to have access to good information so that we can get the help that we need. So, without wasting any more time, please help me and welcome the president and founder of GSS, Scott Martin, and the director, Oscar Endao. Hi.
Thanks, Sarah. That was fantastic. I really appreciate her recording that for us. It's always good to see our students out there thriving and doing well. As she said, my name is Scott Martin, and I'm glad to be a part of this today. I am the president and founder of Global Student Solutions and have been in this business for a long time. I originally grew up in Kenya, East Africa, and in fact was a global student. My parents were both educators, and I attended an international school in Kenya, graduated from there, and went through the whole process that many of you are going through of trying to find a college from a distance and trying to find a good fit school, going through the whole application process, all of that, and ultimately selecting a school that was ultimately ended up being a very good fit for me. It was in the US, so I attended there and graduated with a degree in political science, went on to get my master's in education. I served as an admissions officer for 10 years at a top tier school, and was also part of the administration there, and then started Global Student Solutions. And in that process, found myself in Indonesia and as a high school principal and guidance counselor for 7 years. As a result, my son also became a global student as he attended his high school there. And then we searched for colleges again and went through the application process remotely. So I've been an admissions officer, and then I was a guidance counselor helping students find schools remotely, and then a parent. So filled in all the boxes. Also done a little bit of writing, a bunch of speaking, and love coaching students on helping to find the right perfect fit school for them and go through the whole process. Like to introduce you to my partner in crime, our Director of Operations, Oscar. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Scott, and welcome to our viewers and our participants as well. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. My name is Oscar Endao, and I'm the Director of Operations for GSS. And just a little background, I grew up in Zambia, South Central Africa, and came to study in the US at Anderson University in Indiana, and that is where I actually had met Scott. He was the director of international student services at AU, and so I think that's where our passion got birthed. I got involved on campus, several leadership positions, including serving the international students services, where I served as vice president, president of that association, and helped welcome international students from all around the world to AU. Postgraduate, after graduation, I moved back home and I worked for about 7 years for an NGO that helped in project management, really that helped sponsor orphans and vulnerable children. And then past that, a little bit of experience with coaching as an assistant soccer coach at an HBCU Nashville, and then got connected to GSS, and where I'm now currently serving. And so I'm, like Scott said, we're both passionate about serving international students, and we look forward to hopefully serving you in your journey as you look to study in the US and figure out, what your life path is. And so I want to get a little bit into what we have, our topics for today in our presentation. And so we are looking at College Prep USA. And so our main focus, while students might be studying all over the world, our main focus this morning is why the USA, why study in the US at all. So we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at readiness. Are you getting prepared for it? Are you making the right search for a school that's compatible to what your needs are? We're going to look at the application process, what to do, what not to do, and ways around that. We're going to look at financing, which is one of the most important part. In order for you to study, you need to be able to finance it or pay for it. We're going to also look at immigration, the immigration process. For you to come to the US, you need to be able to have a visa in order for you to study. And then last but not least, we're going to look at success, how for you to thrive once you find the right fit of college. And so without further ado, I'll invite Scott to get right into our topics for today.
Thanks, Oscar. I really do enjoy working with Oscar and on these subjects and helping to share this information with you. I hope that among these topics, there's something that's just perfect for you. And that's what we trust, is that you tuned in, you sat down and watched this, and in the process, you got some gem that's perfect for you. Our philosophy at Global Student Solutions is to use our knowledge, our experience, and our strengths to improve the experience of global students in higher education. Really believe that higher education is a wonderful foundation to really have grand impact on the world. And because it's so important for setting you up for your life, we want it to be a really good experience. We want you to get the most out of it. And because it's a huge investment, either from you or somebody is spending a lot of resources to build this foundation, we want to get you the most out of it. And so that's our motivation in everything we do. We really believe that families, we know that a lot of mistakes are made, but we don't believe that they're making bad decisions, that we don't think you are or your family are making a bad decision. Rather, you're making the best of incomplete and confusing information. This is the information age, and literally everything you need is available to you. The problem is there's so much information that you get what we call information overload. You just get beyond saturated, beyond your capacity to understand and comprehend. And I love this image of, it says the information age, but it says it so often in so many ways that it's hard to read. And I really think that's what we're experiencing. And the problem is, because you can access all of this information, you feel like you should be able to, and that you're somehow a failure if you're struggling. And that's just ridiculous. Like, it's so not true. There's just too much, and everybody's struggling like that. We're just not talking about it. So when a friend says, they've gotten accepted and it wasn't that big a deal, blah, 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 it's all baloney. It is a big deal. It's hard. And if you're struggling, you're not alone. You just need a couple pieces, and that's what we're here to fill a gap. Oscar, what can they expect from today?
Thank you, Scott, for that introduction. And as far as what to expect today, we want to help reduce the stress. Like Scott just mentioned, there's a lot of information out there, and so you can get bogged down or lost in that never-ending maze. And so we want to make sure that there's reduced stress on you, and you're saving time also to do other things. We realize there's a lot going on, and so if you can save time on this process, that frees you up to concentrate on other things, maybe not as who are not more important, but things that you might also need to be working on. And then also just having a better choice. Once you have this information, you know the right information, a better choice leads to a better experience. We ultimately want you to have a great experience as far as college goes and coming to the US.
There are over 1 million global students, actually there's over 1 million international students. So there's over 1 million students currently studying in the US. And that number would be even greater if it weren't for the pandemic, which really limited people's access for the last couple of years. So why would all of these folks be making this decision? And since there's over 1 million students, there are over 1 million reasons that those students chose the United States for education. And let me be really, really clear. The purpose of this session is to talk about studying in the US. That doesn't mean that the US is the best place for you. It's not the best place for everyone, but it is the right place for 1 million. And so if you're one of that million, then we want to make sure that you have what you need to make this possible. So here are the 5 main reasons in surveys of international students, the 5 main things that are stated by students as to why they chose the United States. One is academic excellence. The United States does higher education a little differently than the other models that are out there. So a lot of countries use a model that basically says we take the students that are in school at this level, and in order to go to this level, we only take a portion of that group of students, and then to go to the next level, we take a smaller portion. And so it's an academic elitism system. It's designed to take people who are good at school and get them more and more schooling. The US model is different. The US model is based on the assumption that a much larger percentage of students should get as much education as possible. The model says we want as many students to get as much education, and that will be better for society. So those are 2 different, very different, fundamentally different models. One is an assumption that access is limited. The other is an assumption that more is better, more education is better. So as a result, there are a lot more colleges and universities in the United States. And let me just say, just one of these little bonuses that's not in the script. College and university, we use them synonymously because we're talking about study in the US. And in the US, those words are used to mean the same thing. Right? So when you hear somebody say, I'm going to college in the US or I'm going to university in the US, they're saying the same thing. If you're saying I'm applying to college or I'm applying to university, in the context of the United States, those are the same thing. And so we're going to use those words interchangeably. So there are many, many colleges and universities in the United States, each with their own mission, each with their own purpose. And that's why selection process is both challenging and so important. But as a result of all these schools, that competitiveness has elevated the level of education among those schools. And so the very top schools, all of the other schools have had to raise their level to compete with the very elite. And so you do have levels, right? But you have a lot more schools at a very high level. And you don't have all of the very best students all in the same place. So it's not a case where the students who score the top 10% are at school number 1, and the students who are at a different level, at a lower level, are at school number 2. The reality is that students are at all different levels at a bunch of different schools. The other thing that's a huge advantage for the United States, and one of the reasons that these top 5 reasons is cultural diversity. So the schools, because of their nature, have been from the very beginning attracting students from all over the world to their campuses. So the campuses that can admit international students have international students at them. And so that increases the diversity. In addition, United States is a diverse country. It's a country of immigrants. That the local population is much smaller than the immigrant population, and that creates a level of diversity that's not seen in most countries. And it's not exclusively the United States. There are other countries as well, but it's one of the great appeals. And one of the reasons that the U.S. is so good at producing graduates who can work across cultural barriers, and a huge advantage for the student. The third reason that are listed is the level of support for international students. So students tell us in surveys that they really appreciate and value the amount of support that each campus and the staff of campuses provide to international students. It's unique. It's one of the requirements, actually, that for a campus to be able to admit international students, they must have someone on staff to be the connector for them. Now, obviously, not all schools are the best at this, and that's where we help in the school selection. But for the schools that do this well, this is a huge bonus. It's like a major support network built into your college experience that's invaluable. The fourth reason is career opportunities. Students recognize that employers like American degrees. They almost don't care what school, as long as you went to an American school, it's valued at a higher level. It's almost like the most elite domestic school, and then all American schools are on par with each other, and then the other schools within home countries. Now, I'm not saying that's fair or right. It's just how employers look at it, and one of the huge reasons that international students choose American schools. And then third is the unique campus experience. And I'm not sure 100% the differences or why this is a value, but it is something that international students, once they're here, really appreciate, is that there's more than just book work to a university education in the United States. It's a whole cultural experience. There's this living amongst your learning peers. You're not taking the train to your campus and studying. You're living on your campus and you're living among your peers. And I think that is unique among American schools. I've visited campuses all over the world. It's not only found in the United States, but in the United States, it's been developed and perfected to a level that the international students have appreciated. Oops, went too far. Okay, so we're going to talk to the keys. We talked about why the U.S. Now we want to talk to kind of the keys to university admission. Oscar talked about this a little bit. This is true for all students, not just international students. Readiness, search, application, financing, and success. These are 5 keys areas that you want to get right. Like dropping any one of these ends your success, right? It ends your university dream. If you weren't ready, then you're not going to get in. If you didn't do a good search, then you're not finding the right school. If you're not ready, then you fail when you get there. If you do get in. If you get stuck in the application process, you can get bogged down and beat up by that process. You have financing. If that's not lined up, then that can add a huge hardship and stress to the whole process. And then ultimately, if you don't do the things you need to do when you get there, then you don't get the success and the benefit out of your experience. So let's talk about your university readiness. And this falls into 6 pillars of readiness, or the 6 pillars to build your education on. And so if you're in the process of saying, okay, what do I need to do to get ready for university? This is the stuff for you. Now, if you're already in the application process, then this is your moment to doodle on your notebook. But if you're getting ready, or you're looking, how can I improve my readiness? How can I improve my chances of getting admitted? These are the 6 categories that you want to work on. The first one is your grades, your academic transcript. This is an obvious one, but it's an important one. So if you're a young student and you're saying, oh, you know, high school is not that important, this doesn't matter in my life. The truth is that this is obviously a really important area for colleges, and they look at your academic transcript for your last 4 years of secondary education as kind of a model for who you are as an academic person. And so if you're wanting to be successful in college, they're looking at those 4 years to say, how successful have they been in an academic setting that they're currently in? And they don't really care if your school isn't good, or if you don't like it, or if you don't like your teachers. They're looking to see how successful you've been within the parameters that you've had. And so you want to do the best you can, and you want to meet the expectations that are set forward by your secondary school, whether you agree with them or not. Secondly, your test scores. Now keep in mind that there's 6 pillars, and these are just the first 2. And this is your standardized test or entrance exams, and they give schools insight. They're important because they give students insight into your general overall knowledge and your test taking abilities, which are important for success in college. So they have a value, but they're not everything. So people who spend hundreds and hundreds of hours trying to boost this pillar end up out of balance. And so we encourage students, obviously, to take standardized tests, and we can advise on the best way to take them to get the most value out of it, and some tips and tricks on how to do well. But we're not going to be in a position where we're going to say you need to spend 4 hours a day preparing for your SAT for a year. That's just not, it's not what the SAT is for, and it doesn't set you up for success later on. And so that's why we won't advise it. Oops, I skipped the third one. Third one is your activity record. This is your impact. So this is the kind of things that you do in your community beyond just your academics. So here's how this sets up in terms of framing understanding of you, right? If you're involved in, you're an actor and you're in the school play, or you're in musicals, or you play in the orchestra, or you do sports, or you have a lot of volunteerism, or you're involved in leadership, all of those things are important for colleges to know because it sets a context for your academic success. If you have a 4.0 and nothing in your academic record, I don't know if you're going to be successful in college, because college isn't just about bookwork, right? It's not just, yeah, you have a perfect SAT, that's great, that gets my attention. But if you got a perfect SAT and you had no impact on your college, I'm definitely not going to give you a scholarship. I might admit you, but I'm not going to invest in you because you haven't invested in your current setting. One of the things that colleges talk a lot about right now is cultural competency. In 10 years ago, they might have talked about citizenship. This is a matter of what kind of person are you among your people, or the people you're around. And this is huge for our current world environment, right? We need people who can be bridge builders across cultural differences. And so your ability to navigate cultural difference is a great asset to you. And it's one of the pillars that colleges are looking to build, or universities are looking to establish. And so when you can communicate your cultural competency, that sets you up in terms of your university readiness. And because you're an international student, because you're already a global student, this is a huge pillar for you. And you want to really talk about this story in your application process, because it's a huge advantage for you going in. The fifth pillar is leadership. This speaks to your character. It's not necessarily the traditional idea of, have you been the student council president? That's a good thing, and you want to include that. But it's not only that. It's if you weren't the president, you were just a member of the student, you were just a student at your campus. What kind of student were you? If you had groups and organizations, did you participate in them, and how did you participate? Were you a student who complained about the extra work you had to do a fundraiser, or were you the person who stuck around and helped clean up after an event? Those are things that you need to be able to tell in your story. And as you do that, colleges look at this as your character. So you think about character in terms of your essay, your references. This is something you want to be investing in. This is why we encourage volunteerism. We want you to become a better version of yourself, a better character. And then be able to tell that story to the university is important and is one of those 6 pillars. And then the 6th pillar that we talk about is your support network. And in application processes, they may ask you questions like, did your parents attend college? Do you siblings that attended university? What do you know about the school that you're coming to? Do you have any family in the area? Colleges have known for years and years and years that this support network is one of those 6 identifiers that help us know if a student's going to be successful in college. If they have a good support network, then they're more likely to thrive. If parents have already attended college, university, then they know that this student is more likely to have a better picture and an accurate picture of what the experience is going to be like, and therefore more likely to persist and be successful. So that's why it's important. There are so many colleges and universities in the world. How can you possibly narrow that down? And so we're going to give you 3 ways that are kind of the big chunkers, right? So you start with thousands and you need to chunk them up into something. So here's the 3 ways that people get that chunk down into something bite-sized. It's like the old joke, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. That's kind of the university selection as well. So the one area that I think, I'm going to do these in reverse order because I think that's how we do them. So when you do a search, you're going to be looking for schools that have the program that you want to study, right? That's the easiest way. And if you use a search engine like College Board, and you search for programs that you're interested in, assuming that you know what you're interested in, that can really narrow your schools down very quickly. Don't look at schools that don't offer what you want to study. Obviously makes sense. Another way is location. And this one for global students is a little tricky because at first we think it doesn't matter, right? When I applied to schools on the West Coast of the United States, in Oregon, in Texas, in Indiana, in Nebraska, and in Florida. Obviously nowhere near each other. I got accepted to all those schools. I didn't think location mattered. My parents lived in Africa. Why does it matter where I go in the United States? But as I got closer to the decision making, it occurred to me that I had family members in a couple of places in the United States. And it might be nice if during holidays I would have a place I could go, or if I got sick. One of the things I think my mom said was, if you get sick, we can't come see you. So I thought, well, who's around within a couple hours of where I want to study that if I got sick, somebody could come and take care of me, which for some reason in my freshman mind, I thought that could be a big deal. So I ended up narrowing a couple of my choices down to the spot in Oregon and the spot in Indiana because I had some people around that location. Other people say, I really want to get that North America experience. I want to see snow in the winter. And I think that would be really cool. And I want to have the seasons. I've heard that's really cool. And so, if I choose a school in Texas or Florida, it's going to be green all year. I'm never going to see any changing of the leaves. There's no snow. Other people like, if I've seen snow and if that touches my skin again, I might die. And so I must go to Southern California, Arizona, Texas, Florida. I might be able to get up into Georgia, but I don't know. Other folks may say, you know what, I hate airplanes. I don't want to fly. So I need to be near a major airport. And so they wanted to select schools in that way. there's all kinds of reasons that location makes a difference. Maybe you have a family member attending a school somewhere and you want to be close by. That's another big chunk. And then the most important chunk really is college type. And it's also the one most ignored. People just don't realize that colleges and universities are different. And the truth is that each one has its own mission, its own purpose, and they're grouped together with similar purposes. And so that's where you hear terms like the liberal arts college, or private or public, or this is large and small, it's Christian or state, or, there's all these categories. And we'll do a whole session on one of these one day and just give you the whole thing. And if this is an area, then I encourage getting some coaching and finding out some things. There's also some great tools online for understanding college types. But if you haven't selected your schools, understanding school types is really important. Oscar, I think we're going to take a little bit of a break. We know that the brain can only contain so much information at one time. So we're going to take a 5-minute break and then come back. During this break, get up, walk around, do some jumping jacks. You'll see us on and off the screen. But this is your chance to rethink, relax, and write down some questions, because when we come back, we're going to present a couple more pieces, and then we're going to get into the question and answer.
All right. Enjoy your break.
Are you ready to giddy up? The Global Student Challenge World Cup 2022 is for you. Get more information or register All right. Oscar, update us a little bit on what we've been through so far and tell us where we're going.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that short break. And so far today in College Prep USA free live seminar, we've looked at like the USA, and like we said before, while students may be studying all over the world, we are concentrating on the US and why over 1 million students each year decide to come to the US. And so if you're one of them, you need to know why those million students are coming here. What are the benefits of that? What are the pros and cons? We looked at readiness. Think of it as, I always say, think of it as going on a journey, and you need to know where you're going and how you're going to get there. You need to have all those logistics in place. And so, what are you doing right now to show that you're getting ready to enter a college? And another area that we looked at was search. If once you know kind of like where you're going, you have all the right tools, are you looking in the right place to find the right thing? So if you've done those things and you've searched and you found some good options, well, then we're going to go into how do you apply. And so, Scott, please take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Oscar. On all of these areas that we're talking about today, this is very much an overview of the entire process. And so somebody watching is going to be saying, okay, I'm not sure if the US is right for me. I understand why some people are choosing, but I'm torn. I'm not sure. Ultimately what we do is a lot of coaching, like a lot of one-on-one with students, going through the process and wherever you're stuck. So if you're, wanting to put a plan around your readiness and you want to talk to people about what are the best classes to take, how should I spend my free time? What are the best activities to do to show, or how can I show my character? That's where you hire a coach. That's if you're in the search and you need to narrow that list down, it just seems overwhelming. You bring in a coach. If you're not sure the US is right for you, you have a coach. That's how the most successful students are the most successful, as they have a team of people around them. And maybe you have that person who's going to coach you through this. But if you don't, that's where organizations like ours come in to provide coaching to help out. So here are a couple more in this never-ending, it seems, overview of College Prep USA. Let's talk a little bit about the application. I find in my coaching and working with students that students actually spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours on their applications, and sometimes they only need minutes. And that sounds crazy, I know. You have a friend, they spend hundreds and hundreds of hours, you anticipate that's how you're going to have to do it as well. You are going to spend a lot of time on this. There's an investment of time to make this successful. But the application itself doesn't need to be as overwhelming as it is. And the simplest thing that we've done to help address that is to come up with a tool. We searched out there, and I know that in coaching, I can reduce the stress and make it go faster. And so I looked at what we do in coaching, and we put it in a simple form called the TUOC. It's the ultimate university admission checklist. And this is a one-page document that you print out and you have for each school that you apply to. You write the name of the school at the top, who your admissions contact is, who your finance person at that school is going to be, and then you just work through this checklist for each school, and that's it. Like, you don't have to overthink this. You may come up with some things. There's on the back of this form, there's some lines where you can write some additional things. But basically, these are your categories, and you check them off for each school. and you can very quickly and easily see where you're at in your application for the school. It's something great to show mom and dad and say, hey, I'm making progress. If you have a coach, it makes the coaching so much easier. If the students that we're coaching have a checklist and they're writing down their important deadlines, they have it all right in one place. They don't have to go back to the website, back to the calendar, and it's all right there. And so this is a really helpful tool. In addition, we've created a document, 4 pages, that explains how to use this document. So this document is hugely important, but we created a document to go with it. So because you've listened to this, we're going to give this to you for free. I think it's worth at least 100 hours. So you tell me how much that's worth to you. What's 100 hours of effort worth? I think it's going to save you at least 100 hours in your application process. So rather than charge you for 100 hours, we're just going to ask you to send us a thank you note and an endorsement for our coaching services that we can use to help sell our services. Because I just think this is so important. We want everyone to have it. We want you to download it. I want you to share it with your friends, really get it out there and let people know that college application doesn't need to be so overwhelming. There's hope, and this is going to make a huge difference. All right, let's talk about the money. Now, there's a reason why we put this later in the game. It's because it needs to be later in the game. If you start your process saying, how much can I afford? Particularly for the United States, you've now put the cart and you're asking your horse to push your cart. And that's not how they work. This is an example of we need to put the horse and the cart in the right position. And the position is this. After you've decided what type of school, and you've started the application, some of those schools, and you're into the application process, then you look at the finances. Now, if we know going in some parameters, like there's limited financial resources, that may impact some degree the schools, but the reality is that funding for school comes from some sources that you maybe didn't think about. And so we want you to think about the whole picture of finances, and know that in many cases, you can't know your financial picture until after you've applied and after you've been admitted. So in paying for school, we want to look at these 4 columns, these 4 categories of how school's paid for. The first one, and this is the one people think about, is their family income, their personal income, how much money you have for school. And this is going to include how much money from my parents' current earnings are they going to apply to my school? How much can I make while I'm at school to pay for my schooling? Savings, how much have I saved in order to prepare? And this may go back, you may be 4 or 5 years out and your family needs to start saving now to help fund the education. And then personal loans, how much can my parents, how much are they willing to borrow, or am I able to borrow to invest in my education? The other source of funding is the university itself. And this is the most common area of what people call scholarships. And they want to know, can I get a scholarship? Well, not until you apply. Schools won't give you a scholarship until you've applied, right? Which makes sense when you think about it, but usually schools are like, in fact, when I worked at this school, I would get emails and say, I'm applying for scholarship. Well, you haven't even been admitted. We don't know if we want you. So we don't know if we're going to give you a scholarship. But the university is going to invest in students that they value. So if you fit their mission, found the right type, you fit their mission, and you have either high academic ability above their average, or a special skill. This would be the category of athletic scholarships, esports scholarships, music scholarships, a special skill, or you have need, and they have the ability to meet need. Those are the categories that they offer scholarships for. So they're going to have an application for those scholarships. And for international students, it's usually the International Student Financial Aid Application Form. and it could be called a scholarship application form. Either way, it's basically saying how much is the school now going to invest in you getting your education there. The third area are grants and scholarships. These are outside the school, and usually in the category, usually they have a separate application. There's something else you need to do in order to get these scholarships or grants. They may be a niche market, so you might have children of women in international service. So if your mom is in international service, there may be a scholarship for her kids. They may come from the companies, organizations that your parents, one or both of your parents work for. They may have some scholarships or grants, funds that they've set aside to help their employees fund education for their children. And a lot of times people just don't even ask, and there was money there and they didn't ask for it. And so this is 100%, when I'm working with a family, 100% of families go, yes, my organization doesn't have anything like that. And I said, who did you ask? And they're like, well, I would know. No, you wouldn't know. Why? How would you know? There's no way you would know. So I don't know what the percentages of the people who come back to me and then say, okay, I talked to this person, they sent me to human resources, they talked to this person. I don't know what the percentages that come back and say, oh, it turns out there's $1,000 a year scholarship, but it's a lot. It's a lot more than you'd expect. And you'd be surprised. We see scholarships coming out of manufacturing, as well as social services, education, pretty much every category. We've found examples that employers or associated organizations have scholarships. And then there's another category of thousands and thousands and thousands of companies that set aside money for tax benefits for education, and you just have to apply for it. You send them an application, say, I've been admitted to X university, I'm going to be studying this, and I need help. And international corporations, local companies all over the world have these funds that are just waiting for someone to apply for them. And so a lot of times these are smaller amounts, but you add up a $500 scholarship here and one from here and one from here, and 10 scholarships later, you're at $5,000. They're renewable every year. You just made $20,000 by sending out letters. I wish I could make $20,000 by sending out letters. So this is a great opportunity, but really requires a lot of effort from you and your family to search, find these scholarships, fill out the applications, and start building that pool. And then the fourth pool are national, state, local governments often have some financial support for their students who study abroad. And again, this is, if you've had an older sibling that's gotten one of these scholarships, you know about it. Nobody else knows about them. It's just not, you don't hear it. Even if they run a commercial for it every Sunday afternoon for the last 20 years, if you weren't in the market for it, you didn't hear it. You know, like it's like a medicine for a disease you don't have. You just don't pay attention to it until right now. You need it. So, you know, we coach folks on how to find these funds, but it really is just a matter of tracking through your local government, through your state government, through your national government, and just Googling funds for higher education, making contacts, asking questions. And then in that same category are educational loans. Sometimes governments underwrite these loans and provide them at a discounted rate. So you can use, it's money you can use for education that you either don't have to pay back or can pay back at a much later time and don't have to pay interest on it until you're complete with your education. So they're really helpful, a way to, and it's these pieces that all fit together like a puzzle that complete your academic financing. All right, those two big things. The last big thing before we get into ultimate success is the visa. This issue obviously doesn't pertain to you if you're a U.S. citizen, but if you're not, it does. And we just want to go over kind of the basics so that you have in your mind kind of how the visa works. But this is also an area that we can do coaching on as you get to this process. But in order to get a visa to study, that's the end goal. You want to study in the U.S. and you need a visa to do that. In order to get there, you have to be admitted at a college or university. So don't worry about the visa until you've been admitted. All right, you've been admitted, and when you contact a school, I'm gonna make you look smart. Don't say I need to get a visa to come to your school. You need to get admitted. So you're applying for admission. You will get a visa, but only after you've been admitted. Once you're admitted, you'll get it. They'll process an I-20, and they know that you're international because of the way you applied. This is an automatic process, but you need to allow time for this. So you're going to need to process your admission a little bit earlier than maybe a traditional American student, because you need time to get the I-20. In order to get this I-20, not only do you have to be admitted, but you have to sort out the finances. So we have to have figured out that financial situation and documented that for the school. So sometimes an international student will apply to a school, and in the packet, they'll get an application packet and a statement financial verification form that's needed for your I-20. And you think, how can I do this? It's showing I have to show that I have $36,000. I don't have that. How can I show that? Don't worry about that. Apply. First things first, apply. If they automatically say to you, we need to get the financial verification form, respond back to them and say, I understand that. You'll need that in order to do my I-20, but I can't do that until I've been admitted and do the financial aid application. If they don't deal with you at that point, that's not a good school. They're not doing it well. And you can scratch them off your list. In all honesty, schools that don't deserve to have international students at them. All right. So they ticked me off. But also, if you're in that process and they're not working with you, that's where you contact a coach like us, or if you have another coach in your local area, and have that coach do a little bit of groundwork with the school, because a lot of times there's miscommunication in the process, or we can help you write the emails to sound right, so you don't sound like a jerk. But you're going to get the I-20 from them. At that point, you're going to get an appointment. It's a separate application to get an appointment. Your I-20 is going to be sent electronically to and verified through this appointment process. That'll get you a visit to your consulate. Then you're going to go to the consulate or embassy. You're going to bring proof of your finances that you've verified for the school, your letter of admission. You're going to answer some questions about the program, let them know that you're a serious student and not some scammer jerk person. And then you're going to get your visa and go to school. And that's it. And when I say it like that, people are like, oh, that's not so bad. But when you're thinking about it on your own, you're like, oh my gosh, then I have to get a visa. And we can do some tricks. If you're working with us and one of our students, we can do some things just to help you make that process even a little bit simpler. Finally, the reason we're in business is we want you to thrive, right? And too many people get admitted and are like, done. Well, no, that was just get in the door. Like that's like sitting down, like opening the front door of a house, sitting down on the floor right in front of the front door and being like, that's it, I'm done. No, all the good stuff's still in the house. Like, go to the kitchen, right? Like, let's do this. And so we want to talk a little bit about thriving and what it takes to thrive and grow and win your college experience, right? So here's 3 things, and they each have several things, but I want to go over these briefly. One of the things you're going to do right away when you actually, as soon as you're admitted, you're going to start building your support network. So you're going to identify family in the area, let them know you're coming. Even before you get to campus, you can start contacting professors. You're going to build a relationship with the staff person that you started with and start building that network of staff that are going to be a part of your support. You're going to get a roommate assignment and you're going to start emailing that roommate, building that relationship. And you're going to figure out the role that your old friends are going to play and the roles that your new friends are going to need to play. And you're going to need both, right? You're not going to just dump all your old friends. They're a wonderful support network. I know when I was in crisis my freshman year, it was a friend from high school that really saved me in that process. But you're going to need new friends too, because there's nothing, you can't hug over the phone or through chat. Like you need somebody that's going to physically be with you. And so those new friends are really important. And why folks like us exist, because you may need some coaching through that process. We encourage all of our students to really dive in. You're going to get to college and somebody's going to say, hey, I don't have any requirements. I don't have to go to class. Like nobody's taking attendance. Nobody's calling my name. And you may have that experience at the college you choose. So go to class. Like that's what you're paying for. Like, why wouldn't you go? It's true. Something catastrophic happens and you can't get there. Nobody's babying you or calling you at home and saying, hey, what happened? Why aren't you here? And you don't get in trouble for having a bad thing happen, but the expectation is you're going to go. And in my experience, my first 3 years, I don't think I missed any classes. First 2 for sure. When I got to my senior year, junior year, I started to have some pretty good experience about the class and how I could get the most out of it. And sometimes, you know, I made a choice between good things and I chose one good thing over attending a class from time to time, but it was really rare. You got to go to class. You also want to be involved in student activities. There are people, and I encourage you to be one of them, that plan activities for the community, for the campus. Join that group and plan those activities, but go to those activities. They're often free or really cheap. And they're like, well, am I going to have fun? I don't know. Are you going to have fun? You should. Like, go and have fun. That's your choice. It's not the event. Like, so many of the events sound really dumb. And I went to events we had an event at my college when I was a student called Gutter Sundays. And I thought, I don't know what that is. They took a rain gutter, like that takes the rain off the building. They took a brand new one, clean. And they filled it full of fruit and ice cream and toppings. And it was probably 100 meters long. It was huge. And students gathered all around and to help fill this up with and then we all sat there together and ate it. It's the dumbest thing. And now with COVID, it sounds kind of gross, but at the time, I had a good time. I met some nice people. I laughed. It was silly. There are just things that you go, and it's not about whether that is fun. I had an international student one time ask me if they should go to the square dance. The square dance is kind of a traditional American kind of country, old-fashioned dance. And they're like, I don't know how to square dance. I don't like country music. Why would I go to this thing? This is about getting new experiences and trying things you haven't tried before. And turns out 99% of Americans have never been to a square dance. It's not like everyone there are square dance experts. Nobody knows what they're doing. And that's what's fun about it. And that's how you can have fun with it. And, you know, you dive in and people get to see your personality and you just laugh and joke and do it badly along with everyone else. And that to me, that's what I mean by dive in. Say yes to good things. If people invite you out to dinner, say yes. And you think, I already had dinner. I'm not going to go. No, somebody invited you to dinner. Go to dinner. You don't have to order. Like that's a thing you can do as a college student that maybe you can't do at other times in your life. But as a college student, you can absolutely accept a dinner invitation and not eat. You can go there, ask for a glass of water. That's free. sit there, chat with your friends. People are like, are you not hungry? And you're like, no, I just ate, but I wanted to hang out with you guys, so I came. That actually is way more flattering. And people are going to be like, what a cool person that they would come, even though they have already had dinner. Like, that's very value giving. And so say yes to those good things. There'll be some things along the way that you should say no to, but we're talking about saying yes to good things. All right. And then I talk a lot about this when I talk to classes or when I have groups, and it's the first 30 days. Those first 30 days are really essential and important. And I just want to say first 30 days, first 30 days, first 30 days over and over. So you get in your head that those first 30 days when you arrive on campus are special and they're an investment. You want to do all the reading that's assigned. You want to attend every class. You want to go to every study session. You don't know what you don't know. And so you want to, a teacher offers something, you want to say yes. Campus is going to offer things. There's going to be interest meetings for clubs and organizations, and you want to go to them. And you're going to be like, I'm so busy. My first 30 days, you should be exhausted at the end of every day for 30 days. You can handle that. You know, I need to pace myself. No, don't pace yourself. Go full sprint for 30 days, then rest. Then evaluate. Okay, I've been to 26 interest meetings, 16 groups are of interest to me. I didn't even think I'd be interested, but I really like the people at this group. I don't know anything about what they do, but they're really good people. I can't do everything, so I'm going to say no to some good things, but I'm going to do that after 30 days. I'm going to say yes for 30 days, and then I'm going to start saying no to get a schedule that I can actually handle. You're going to limit contact to home. You're going to say, Mom and Dad, next 30 days, we're going to talk for 1 hour on Sunday afternoon. That's it. You know, or whatever. You're going to find a time, you're going to check in with home, let them know you're doing great and you're healthy and fine, but we're not talking every day. You're building your network, you're investing in your community. I love you. I appreciate everything you're doing for me. This is an important investment. Coach Martin says, I gotta do this for 30 days. Then we'll come up with a new routine after my 30 days. But you limit contact at home. If you have some local support that they're going to want to establish contact with you, you're going to connect with them, but then you're going to say, I'm not coming over. I'm not spending the weekend at your house away from campus. I'm diving into campus for the first 30 days to try to get establish as much connection, meet as many people. Hi, my name is going to be a phrase that you're going to say thousands of times during the first 30 days. It's just so important. And so that's my speech. Oscar, we got some resources for the folks. Tell them a little bit about what they can do, what they have access to.
Well, thank you, Scott. I mean, I think that information is really helpful. If you're a student out here and you're hearing this, I do believe that becomes, very helpful to you in this process. And so we do want to give you access to some more free resources that in case you're not aware of them. So the best and free one is College Board. You go to the address there, and more than likely it might ask you to create a profile, which is free, but you have access to thousands of resources on there to help you in your college application process. And just even after you're at college, they might have resources for you to help you thrive in college. Other resources are the school, either the school that you're applying to or where you are right now. If you're in high school, chances are there's a guidance counselor there that will provide information, but also the school where you're applying to, they will have admissions counselors and other information. Their website is a great resource to find out, like Scott said, the type of school, the programs that they offer, the location. All those information are more than likely on the school's website, and you'll be able to get that information, have access to that information. A third area is University Access Coaching, where Global Student Solutions falls. We are coaches, and so they're also known as college admissions consultants, and these will provide you with, most of them are paid. We offer these services paid, and some of those will run you from anywhere between $800 to $15,000. And you might be thinking, well, that's a lot of money, but it is well worth it. And not just speaking because we are offering those services, but I look back on my own journey and think, if I had that opportunity to get a coach, it would have helped out a great deal. And so I'd say if you have access to it, to them, and you're able to get their services, sign up for those services. Even though there's a price tag, their input is invaluable to help you succeed in college.
Yeah, Oscar, I was just thinking about the financing, and I had mentioned to a parent not long ago that that no one pays us anywhere near 15,000. Like that's a lot of money. We fall much at the lower end. There's some very elite college coaches that have been at this even longer than we have, and are very selective about who they work with and get charged a lot. But I was telling them that people pay coaches 12, 15,000 is fairly common for a college coach, and they're like, well, how does that work? And I said, well, think about this. You're going to invest, and then in your education, you may be spending, you'll likely spend over $100,000, or somebody will spend over $100,000 on this education. Spending 10% to make sure that that's a wise investment is pretty smart money. In addition, on average, the students I work with get $10,000 to $15,000 a year in scholarships that they didn't know they were eligible for. That adds up over 4 years to between $40,000 and $60,000 in money they didn't know they had access to. So if somebody asked me if I would spend $15,000 to get $60,000 over the next 4 years, that's the best investment. That's better than any stock market, any business investment. That's a no-brainer, right? That's an absolute no-brainer. So, and most coaches, I'm sure all the reputable coaches have money back guarantees. If you work with them and you're just like totally dissatisfied, they didn't help you at all, they'll give you your money back. We certainly do that 100%. If you invest in us, and we haven't, like sometimes we spend money for students, like you'll send us $500 and we'll spend that $500 to buy you some resource for something. We can't get that money back for you, but the money that you pay us, if you're not satisfied with us, we give you money back. We want you happy, right? That's human service business, is to make people happy. So we want you happy. We'll give you your money back if you're not. Hopefully that will make you happy. And so it's really a no-brainer to invest some funds in this in your future. We think you're worth it. I don't know if questions have come in, Oscar, during this time, or if you have some questions off the top of your head.
Well, we did invite students or participants to write some questions in the chat, and so I've posted in there the link to our TUAC, the University Application Checklist, and as you see on there too, the website at the bottom on this page. You can go on there and gain more information. I think one of the questions that has come up, and we have coming up really is the U.S. admitting students. We've all survived a pandemic that's hopefully coming to an end. We see signs that things might be changing. I just flew internationally a couple days ago, and you start seeing it everywhere that things are starting to open up. And so the question is the U.S. admitting students right now to come for a while? There wasn't any like physical presence on campuses. Most of them were doing online or virtual learning. Some did, but not everybody. So if I'm looking to apply right now, what are my chances that I'll get to come to the U.S. physically?
Well, first of all, schools are open, so it's a good time. But my standard answer to that question is, if you don't apply, there's zero chance that you'll come to study in the United States. And, that's true of everything. It's like, well, I don't know for sure if I want to go to the school. Well, if you don't apply, there's zero chance that you'll go to that school. If you apply, get admitted, like it's kind of powerful to say no. And I kind of enjoy saying no occasionally, right? So if somebody says you're admitted, we're going to give you this amount of money to come to school here, but you're admitted to someplace else, and you're like, I think this is a better choice. It still feels good. So I encourage people to apply to 5, 6, 7 schools, not because you're going to attend 5 or 6, 7 schools, but because you want to see, like, you're going to learn about them in the process. You're going to learn about their character as well as them learning about yours. And in that process, you'll find the best fit. Maybe the finances work out better one place or another, whatever. But you need to apply to a few places to really get a right feel for it. And that cost in terms of the overall scope, you're like, oh my, the application fee. Sometimes they waive that fee for international students, by the way. But even if you have to pay it, when you look at that overall giant number that need to pay for education, the application fees is a small item and worth spending. So if you have other questions, you can always reach us on our website at theglobalstudentsolutions.com. You can send us an email at info@globalstudentweb.org. Of course, all that contact information is on the website. There's some things coming up. Let's see the commercial again for the Global Student Challenge. Are you ready to get in? The Global Student Challenge World Cup 2022 is for you. Get more information and register now on our website at theglobalstudentsolutions.com. Oscar, tell us a little bit more about the GSC World Cup, and then maybe also just a little bit about coaching as well. If students are like, I want in, how do they get coaching?
All right, so I can tell you how excited we are to be presenting this Global Student Challenge this year. If you're a football fan like me, not American football, but the actual football, which
the real football.
Some people have ruined it by calling it soccer, which for the life of me, I can't figure out why. But soccer or football, that this year is huge for soccer because we do have the 2022 World Cup that usually it will be just a few weeks away normally because it'll be in the summer. But this year, because of where it's at in Qatar, it's going to be later this year in December, November, December. And so in line with that, we thought, why not have, a challenge for students to take part in where you can represent not only your school, but also even your country. And this is over 6 weeks of daily challenges where you accumulate points and you get to compete with students all over the world. And so we're excited. We're going to be launching it June 18th. It's going to run from June 18th to July 30th. And so please sign up today. And here's a cool part about it. Because you attended this seminar today, we are offering you a $10 discount. So it is $10 a week. So for 6 weeks, $60. And we're offering you $10 off, and the coupon code is going to be in the chat. And you can also email us at info@globalstudentsolutions.org to get more information about that. But go out to the website and sign up for that. We cannot wait. We're so excited for this. It's going to be huge. It's going to be exciting.
As an educator, this challenge I think is so amazing because it allows students to increase your SAT scores, stay fresh, academically alert during the break between sessions. If you have a school break, it's an elevation of your academic ability. So it's really going to push you to level up in the academics. But it also blends in things like personal wellness, good habits, for developing your own strengths, for your health. We have exercises and things in there that really every person in the world should take this summer challenge, this 6-week challenge, because you're going to end up a better, healthier version of yourself at the end of it. And so we're just excited that we get to attach our name to such a cool thing, and certainly encourage like literally everyone to sign up for this. If you're a student, you get to compete for your school, and there's cool prizes and awards and all that cool stuff. More information coming out, but you can sign up for that. It's crazy cheap. Like when you think about summer academic programs, $10 a week is literally nothing compared to what the thousands and thousands of dollars that people charge for really the same thing. Actually, not as good a thing. This thing is really it's really awesome. So I'm super excited about that. Tell us a little bit, Oscar. I interrupted you. You're going to tell us a little bit about how students can get coaching from us if they want that.
All right. So again, we offer, as we say, Global Student Solutions. We offer coaching services, and so you can visit our website, and you have access to links on where to sign up, or you can get in contact with us as well if you're interested in our services. But we do offer either one-time, a single session coaching, or over 6 weeks or 6 sessions that you can sign up for. All that information is available on our website. It's again, if you're going somewhere where you've never been before, you want to get in touch with somebody who's been there to help guide you. And so we are here to help guide you on that journey. And reach out to us and find out how we can be of help as you embark on this wonderful journey of getting into college and thriving in college.
Thanks, Oscar. We do encourage you to reach out to us some way. You can reach out to us on WhatsApp, or send us an email on there's chat boxes on the website. But basically, if you go to the website, again, it's www.theglobalstudentsolutions.com. That's where you get all the information about what's going on. You can follow us on social media and get updates there. And that's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. We are so glad that you spent today with us. Any last remarks, Oscar?
No, really. As Scott said, we're just thankful that you were able to join us today, and we're excited for wherever you might be in your journey, and for us to come alongside and, like, our logo says, connect, work alongside, and serve. And so we're here to serve you. We're here to help you this journey. And so we're excited for us to come alongside and help guide you. So thank you for your time today. And again, if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, feel free to reach us on so many platforms that we are, and our contact information is on our website.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Oscar, and thank you all. We appreciate your time, and blessings in your educational journey. We hope nothing but the best for you.